what to do about all of this. Once again, thank you for your attention, and I welcome to the floor Mr. Javier Torrox.
Okay, good afternoon. Thanks, Sebastian, for your kind words and introduction. I would like to start thanking the organizers, the Danube Institute, the Center for Fundamental Rights, and to the European Conservative, as well, and most especially to Mario Fantini for having me here today. My two main concerns are political freedom and its corollary, nation integrity. And taking this into consideration, the panel title, When the Rule of Law Breaks Down, brings me to address these three questions that Sebastian named. Has the rule of law broken down? If so, when and how did that happen? And finally, what are the consequences of that? First question, has the rule of law broken down? I think we will all agree has a quick answer. The answer for Spain and most Western countries is yes, it has. Second question, when and how did that happen? Well, I think it has been happening gradually for decades by means of legislation passed even when in conflict with the rule of law. I will try to focus on the essentials for human affairs: life, self-defense, and property. These three elements constitute the basis of individual freedom and therefore Western civilization. All these three elements come before any human aggregate, any polis, in the old Greek sense of the word, meaning tribe, city, nation, nation-state, etc. That is, they were previous to any human legislation, and therefore, I think the rule of law and subsequent legislation must be in harmony with the three of them. Anyway, mankind is more than just civilization. A fourth element is missing in this picture. If we add transcendence, Judeo-Christian tradition, what do we have? Western culture. I've been kindly asked to expose certain instances of how Spain is breaking the rule of law at the present time. And I will try to do that, exposing how Spain does this, following these four elements. Firstly, regarding life, we have three different legislations at three different levels. Abortion, for those who have not been born yet. Euthanasia, for those who are too old or regarded as useless by the system for health reasons or whatever. And in the middle of both, we have the gender agenda, which is promoting transsexuality among boys and girls and even kids. And now we know that the use of puberty blockers will result in sterilization, the impossibility of engendering and conceiving new life. And that is life-cutting legislation. And just an observation on these three approaches against life. There is no imposition for the time being. All three are accomplished willingly by those who choose to do it. Killing is now in Spain an administrative file which is executed by the government. System does not need to be the Minotaur anymore. Modern state has made their citizens choose to be their own monsters. And a final remark on this matter. Who and why is promoting these legislations everywhere at the same time and successfully? If we move forward to the following point regarding self-defense, Spain has made of it such a sporting regulation. It is a sort of marquis of Queensberry new rules. If you're a fan of John Ford movies, as I am, you know what I'm talking about. With this, proportion is key. If someone enters your home at 4 a.m. with a chainsaw, you are not allowed to use a shotgun to defend yourself or your family. You have to go and get yourself another chainsaw so that you can fight back your attacker proportionally. It is your life. If your life is threatened in Spain, you have two options. You can either let yourself be killed, or you can kill for your life and then go to jail for it. The right to self-defense, we can conclude, does not exist in Spain. Regarding property, we all know that property does not come out of the blue. Creation of property is the product of effort and labor. But Spanish tax burden is beyond 50% of any individual income. Any Spaniard works nearly 7 months a year for the state and only 5 months for himself. Additionally, Spanish main wealth among working class is housing investment. But any day you can go to office, you can go shopping, you can go to the doctor or whatever, and you go back home and you find there is a squatter family in there. In that case, forget about your house. It will take you years to have it back. And in the meantime, of course, you will have to keep on paying your mortgage, and you will be forced to pay for electricity supply, water, gas supply, etc. Spanish lawmakers have ruled what we can call the right to steal houses. Only conclusion is that property in Spain is de facto outlawed. Moving forward, regarding transcendence, there is a lot to say about it, but let us stick to two essential facts. Judeo-Christian tradition is the basis of Western culture, never mind if you are a believer or not. And second, the very state has now erected itself a substitute religion. Its doctrine is a word of power, which changes in accordance to the interests and passions of the moment. Its dogma, the infallibility of government, and its worship, blind obedience. Instead of salvation after life, this substitute religion offers earthly and immediate rewards, the satisfaction of all earthly appetites during life. That is, the annihilation of transcendence with a state-based religion. To sum up, life, self-defense, property, and the sense of transcendence are the core constituents of individual freedom. When legislation in a new culture, which is dictated from power, strike these core constituents of individual freedom, that is when the rule of law breaks down. And when this happens, it is not only a legal building that collapses. It is Western civilization and culture collapsing. Quoting Messier du Juvenal, we are our own barbarians. But the very point of no return regarding the rule of law breakdown was the coronavirus epidemic in 2020 and the year after that. No matter the reasons alleged then or now, Spain and most Western countries broke the rule of law when they broke their respective constitutions. And this takes us to the third and final question. What are the consequences of breaking the rule of law? We can tackle this from two different perspectives. Firstly, the personal consequences for the individual persons that held the offices that broke the rule of law by breaking their constitutions. And there were no consequences. There were no social case, there were no political case, and there were no criminal case for any individual in the governments or legislative houses that broke their constitutions. Nowhere in any Western country. Some may say on this that the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson was forced to resign, and indeed he was, but not for breaking the UK Constitution, but for partying while breaking the British Constitution. And I think that is an excellent portrait of this first perspective. The second perspective follows this absence of consequences of breaking the rule of law. And I think that the deep meaning of this breach is that Western constitutions are dead. And if Western constitutions are dead, from this follows that the modern state as a political form is also dead. It is not yet visible, it is true. I think it will in due time. But the same way the Soviet bloc fell long before the Berlin Wall fell, the fall of the wall was the factual materialization of something that had already happened. Similarly, I think modern state has died, although its factual materialization is still to come. And I'm afraid that materialization will happen sooner than we may think. My vision is that we are now in the middle of something that has died and something that has not yet been born. We are, I think, in a similar position when the fall of the Republic of Rome, from which Augustus built the Roman Empire. And that meant the beginning of a political decline that took 1,000 years to recover. Hopefully, it will not take that long this time. Anyway, thanks for your attention.
Before I give the floor to Mr. Alejandro, I just want to make sure that, technically speaking, we are able to put on his PowerPoint presentation, and then we can proceed. Mr. Alejandro, the floor is yours.
Good.